sometimes when we would have a picnic or something down at the beach, we wouldn't just get the students, we'd get the whole family coming. And so what was happening then is that as we would get together with the people that were kind of core of this group and were growing, we would get together once a month and we would invite them in to pray and fast. And we would say, who are we praying and fasting for? We managed to get the names of every single student on the campus. I don't know how we managed to do that. But then we distributed that to a network of people, and we were praying for every single person on campus by name. A number of our donors would get a list of 10 people, and a year later they would be saying, how is so-and-so doing? Have you met this person yet? How are they doing? And, you know. And, but I think when a couple of things happened in this process. One, people came to Christ because of a relationship. Two, they came to Christ out of intense interaction with the Scriptures. Most of the time, we just began to study the Gospel of John. And somewhere along the way, they would come to Christ. And I've never been scared of the questions or concerns of people. I remember even back in Texas, I remember a guy on one of the hallways one time says, I'm coming to that study. And I said, sure, Greg, why are you coming? He says, because I want to show all you Christians how everything you believe is wrong. I said, okay. Have you ever read the Bible? He said, no. I said, well, okay, well, maybe this is a good place to kind of show us where we're wrong. And so he would come and we would study and he would ask these questions and we would kind of say, well, let's see what the Scriptures have to say about that. And we'd go on. And I remember about 8 weeks into the process, he was really quiet. So the next day I went to his room and I said, Craig, what's wrong? You were really quiet last night. He just kind of looked at me. He says, it's all true, isn't it? And so it wasn't a debate. It wasn't an argument. It wasn't some sort of, a logical kind of hand-to-hand combat. It was just kind of exposing people to Christ and the Scriptures, and that's what these people were doing. And it was interesting that one of the little gals, a Filipino-American girl in our ministry, Acela, about this tall, really, dripping wet, the most timid, quiet person you had ever seen. We've never seen a person just lead so many people to Christ. Probably part of it is she's totally unthreatening, and so everybody will listen to her, But it's like whole families. And so what we were beginning to see was that we were helping people understand how to impact their natural sphere of relationships without the need for forms and structures to prop this thing up. And we actually had, by the end of the 3rd year, the largest ministry on campus that nobody knew about. Because we never met. And then finally we thought, well, let's get together, once a year and just kind of have a picnic down in Corona Del Mar on the beach, But I think what it did was it showed all of us, and one was the power of prayer. Second was the power of kind of relationships and love. And the third thing was just the power of the Scriptures to do their thing. And so that rather than removing people out of their networks and their spheres of relationships, we said, just stay there. Who are the people around you? And let's begin to pray for them. What was really cool, and Max, you guys are going to think Glenn so much, you'd appreciate this. We actually one time had finally had a retreat in Glen area. And then we invited all of the people around the country that have been praying for us. And all of the donors. And so there were children, there were families, saw God time and time and time again just provide an answer to prayer. And even though I'm in business today, and in business you're supposed to make money, I don't know how many are doing that today, the underlying lesson is that God is a provider. So we were living in this little apartment, and we didn't have a washer and dryer, so Patricia was driving down the road toward Newport Coast to this really dirty little laundromat. It was almost embarrassing that I let her go there. But never complaining. And then finally, after about a year, she says, Dan, how much does a washer and dryer cost? And I said, I don't know. So I ran down to Sears and, kind of looked, and I said, well, it's going to cost us, $600 and something and change. She said, okay. And so what I didn't know was that she just began to pray for that precise amount. 3 months later, I'm in Texas, and I'm having lunch with a guy, and as we get up, he says, oh, by the way, I forgot to give this to you. He said, a friend of mine just handed me this envelope, wanted me to pass it on to you. So I got back to the house, and I handed Patricia the envelope. She opened it up, and there was a check in there for exactly the amount she was praying for. She'd never told anybody. We were talking about giving tomorrow. And I remember another time that God laid on our heart to give to some people. But the amount that God laid on our heart to give to these people was double the amount of monthly income that we were having. But it was really interesting because I was reading in the scriptures, and remember the story where the visitor comes to the house at night and they don't have any food, bread. So you go over next door and you bang on the door to get some bread to give to the visitor. And God says, you don't have any in your house. You want to come to my house and just ask me? And what was really staggering was that the next month, when I opened that envelope, there was not only our provision, but exactly the amount that we needed to give to these people the next month. Do you think that was just a hilarious gift to give? I mean, And so over and over again, I think, what we were beginning to see in our life was, God is real, and